Hey guys, TJ with October Mountain Products here. Today we're going to go over how to paper tune a bow. So when it comes to paper tuning, there's a million different factors that can affect the flight of the arrow. But the goal of paper tuning is basically to make sure your arrow is coming out of the bow as straight as possible. So for example, cam position, cam timing can affect it. The spine of the arrow can affect it. Your cam lean, left and right, can affect it as well. I have already checked the timing and the cam lean and everything on that. So this is all good to go. Today we're primarily going to go over rest position and how to adjust the rest accordingly to the tear through the paper. And we'll go over too, if your arrow is underspined or overspined, what that'll look like through paper. So first step is we're going to go ahead and shoot one through paper and see what we're starting with. Okay, so looking at our tear here after that first shot, if we look here, you can see there's a fletching, and here's a fletching. And here on the bottom left is where your point entered. So your arrow is coming in at an angle like this, downwards and right. So to correct this, like I said, it could be a multitude of things. You could have too stiff of an arrow, your cam could be out of time, it could be leaning a little bit. But having already checked that, we're gonna focus on the rest position here. Looking at this, we've got a high right tear. So to bring this back to center, you're gonna wanna chase the point. So we wanna move the rest left and right to the left because we wanna chase the point. So we're gonna bring that rest out away from the riser on a right-handed bow to the left. We've got a high tear, meaning our arrow is coming downhill. So we're gonna have to raise our rest upwards to hopefully try and correct that arrow. So I'm gonna grab the bow here. We're gonna adjust that and then we'll shoot again through paper and see how that goes. So looking at our tear, we're gonna come back to the bow and we're gonna look at the rest. Looking at the rest, I can visibly see that confirming with our tear, our knock point's high. So either our knock point needs to come down or our rest needs moved up. Our knock point is pretty centered off our hole here. So we're gonna move this rest up. And hopefully that'll correct the high and low tear. Now coming left and right, I can visibly see that our arrow is sitting inside center. So when I bring the string in line with the riser down the center of the riser, I can see that the arrow is sitting on the inside, meaning we need to bring the rest out, which also follows along suit with what kind of tear we're getting through paper. So we're gonna go ahead and move that here. First we're gonna move the left and right. Loosen this up here. So I'm gonna look down the arrow here. And I'm gonna move this rest out to the left until I see that it is visibly in the center. So that looks good there. I'm gonna tighten this back up. So now I think I've got the left and right pretty centered. Now we're gonna go ahead and move this rest upwards here. So I moved it up. I'm gonna take a look at it, just see where it's at. Looks like I went a little too far there. I'm gonna move it back down a couple clicks. We'll give that a go. We'll tighten that back up. Now we're gonna go ahead and shoot a second arrow through paper now that we've made what seems to be the correct adjustments, and we'll see what kind of tear we get through paper. So looking at our second shot here, you can see that this is exactly what you're looking for. You want a perfect hole through the center showing 3 veins perfectly centered around the edges. That means your arrow's coming through perfectly straight. There's no left or right, up or down, anything like that. So coming from this tear here to here, all we did was raise the rest and move it out a little bit. If you had a low left tear, you would do the opposite. You would bring the rest down, move it outside to the left or to the right, depending on your left or right tear. So one thing to note when paper tuning is distance from the paper away that you are standing. If you're standing too far away, your arrow is gonna have time to correct itself. So no matter how it comes out of the bow, within about 5 to 10 feet, that arrow is gonna correct itself and it's gonna look like a good tear through paper, even though it may not be. So you wanna stand pretty close, typically 2 to 3 feet away from the paper. That's gonna show the true direction of the arrow right out of the bow. So you can see the worst reaction out of the bow If you stand back too far, you're gonna get a better tear than what you're really getting out of the bow as soon as you shoot. So a couple things to note when paper tuning is, like I said, there's a million different factors that come into tuning more than just rest position. If you've shot through paper, you adjusted your rest accordingly, everything's centered down the middle, your height's good, and you're still getting a tear. If it's up and down, just straight up and down, your left and right's good, you're gonna wanna check your cam timing. If one cam's a little bit faster than the other, that can cause the arrow to come out of the bow high or low, depending on which cam is fast. If you're struggling with a left to right tear and you've checked your rest, everything's down center, there can be a couple factors there. Like with this right tear that we had previously, you could have a little bit of a stiff arrow. If you have a left tear, your arrow could be a little bit weak. So the spine of your arrow, based on your draw length, weight, everything like that, needs to be correct. If it's not, you could get a little bit left, right, or tear. Also, with left and rights, your cam positioning on the bow can also need adjusted. Sometimes your cam might be leaning a little bit if your bow has yokes. You would just have to bring that cam lean out and straighten that cam out. Or most bows have spacers on each side of the cam. Sometimes you'll have to either swap the spacers, or most companies, Matthews, Hoyt, all of them, they offer different size spacers so that you can adjust that cam between the limbs left and right. In that case, if you have a right tear, you want to bring your cams to the right. You want to follow that tear. Have a left tear, you want to bring the cams to the left side of the limbs. And that should straighten it out. But between all of those factors, one of those should help you out. I know this is a lot of information all at once, so if you do want a reference chart, there are tune charts online. We'll put a link in the description so that you guys can reference that and look at that and kind of have a visual of what needs moved according to what tear. Thank you for watching this video. To see more videos like this or to see our products, please go to octobermountainproducts.com.